In this tutorial, we will be demonstrating how rule qualifiers work with the VDI ToolKit. So what are rule qualifiers? Rule qualifiers are used in conjunction with rules to assign whether or not the rule should be applied. These are the types of rule qualifiers that we have: Active Directory user, Active Directory group, client, client group, custom, VDI session information, virtual desktop, and virtual desktop group. So first one we'll talk about is the Active Directory user qualifier. So it's a qualifier based off of an Active Directory user. So what does that mean? Basically, if we had a rule and we wanted it to only apply to a certain user, we could use the Active Directory user qualifier to ensure that that rule only applied to that user. These qualifiers are populated using what's called a sync point to synchronize with Active Directory what users to use. And you can use distinguished names of organizational units and actually only synchronize certain Active Directory users out of your environment if you want, or you can sync them all. We have Active Directory group qualifier, which is basically the same thing, but it's a collection of Active Directory users, and it also uses a sync point to synchronize with Active Directory. Next, we have the client qualifier, which is a qualifier based off of a client, which is a device a user connects to their virtual desktop from. So what is that? Well, you could connect to your virtual desktop from an iPad, an Android, a computer, a zero client, a thin client, whatever. Whatever device you're connecting to the virtual desktop from, that is your client. So these qualifiers are populated manually by adding them, or you can actually bulk import by downloading a template and actually importing a whole spreadsheet full of the clients in your environment. Or you can also use a sync point to automatically sync, which that currently is only supported for Teradici clients and from the Teradici management console. Next, we have the client group qualifier, which is a qualifier based off of a client group, which is a collection of clients. These qualifiers are populated manually by adding. Next, we have the custom qualifier, which is a qualifier based off of custom designation associated with the virtual desktop session information. These qualifiers are highly customizable, and we'll demonstrate those later. These qualifiers are also populated manually by adding them. Next, we have the VDI session information qualifier, and it is a qualifier based off of a custom designation associated with the virtual desktop session information as well. But these qualifiers are not as customizable as the custom ones. They're also populated by manually adding. Next, we have the virtual desktop qualifier, and is a qualifier based off of a virtual desktop the user connects to. So this is your virtual desktop. Now keep in mind, this is really only going to work well in environments where it's persistent, as far as user A is always going to connect to virtual desktop A. If you're using a floating pool or anything of that nature, the virtual desktop they're going to get is always going to be random, unless you wanted to use this based off certain pools to ensure those desktops always got a rule or whatnot. And these qualifiers are populated by using a sync point to synchronize with Active Directory for what virtual desktops to use. Lastly, we have the virtual desktop group qualifier, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's just going to be a collection of virtual desktops. And these qualifiers are populated manually by adding. So up next, we will demonstrate how rule qualifiers work using the VDI ToolKit. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, and we'll open up the management console first, and I have that running on a virtual desktop. So let me go ahead and open it. And once open, I'll go ahead and expand it. Okay, to get to the rule qualifiers, we'll navigate to Rules, Rule Qualifiers, and then we'll see all the rule qualifiers that we discussed. So let's go ahead and click on Active Directory User. As we can see here, I already have a sync point, and I've already synchronized it and have some users. But just so you know, you click right here and you can add a new sync point if you wanted to add multiple. You can also take and here I'll go ahead and edit. So you give it a name, a description, a fully qualified domain name, which here it's our domain controller. And then we add organizational units that we want to sync. Here I'm just adding the root domain element, and that way it syncs all users from the domain. So I'll go ahead and close that. And then when you want to sync, all you have to do is actually take and hit the sync right here. and it'll ask for a confirmation, and then it'll complete, and then you'll see down here that it's successfully synced. So this is the Active Directory user, and you can search in here or anything like that. You can actually view the details of a user as well. And you can also take and view what they're a member of, and that's which groups they're a member of. As this one's a part of the domain admins and domain users. And the other cool thing too is from the rule qualifiers is you can actually view rule associations, and I'll show you what rules that qualifier is associated with. This one has none, so you won't see any, but it's a nice way to hunt down if you have a user or something like that and they have some unexpected behavior, trying to see what rules they're getting. You can actually see the rule associations from there. So that's an Active Directory user. Active Directory group is going to be the same thing, except you can actually take and, let's see, you can take and view, let me find one right here. You can take and view the members, and you can see all users that are in that group. Same thing with the rule associations. You can do that as well too, and you can actually view details on the group and see all the information on that. So next we have the client. And so with the client, just to show you, so you can use a sync point if you're syncing with Teradici Management Console. So if you have Teradici clients, you can automatically sync those in there. For more information on how to set up the Teradici Management Console to allow that, please watch the video tutorial on that. But we can see right here, I have a Teradici Management Console, and I can actually take and sync with it. And we can actually see that I have 2 clients on there. You can also take, and these you cannot edit because they're actually being synced from the Teradici Management Console. There's 2 other ways that you can add as well too. You can do a bulk import, which you'll download this template, then upload it, and then you'll download the template, fill it out, and then you can upload it, and they'll have them all in there, and then you can import them. I'll close that. You can also manually add clients if you need to. So I could do this. And when adding a client, you want to make sure that if it is a Teradici, that you do choose Teradici, because when taking a trouble snap, it can automatically get the Teradici logs from that client. So for more information on trouble snaps, make sure and watch the video tutorial on trouble snaps. All we do is hit add. And once done, I can do a search again, and I can see it here. And you'll notice that this one, it's not grayed out to either delete it or edit it. So I can come and edit it or delete it if I wanted to. And it's deleted. Next, we have the client group. We can see I don't have any here, so we'll go ahead and add a client group. So I'll go ahead and add a client group. And then I can come to members, and I can actually add those members. So then I can do a search, and I can see here I have the client group, and I can actually view the members and the details of the group. Okay, next we have custom. So I don't have any right now, so we'll go ahead and do that. Now with the custom, it's really nice because you can actually take, and it's kind of like its own little scripting language that you can use for a qualifier, and you can make them really in depth. So let's see right here, I'll do this, and you can actually test them once you create them. So let's see, I'll type this. Once I type V, it has kind of like an IntelliSense, so I can see it. And then I could say equals test. And I can also do something like this, and view client broker domain name. And I can also do things like this, where it starts with, and once we have this set up, and we can add as many and or statements that we want, and build this out, we can actually fill out items here and then validate it. And we can see that this evaluated the true and that it is an actual valid qualifier. So if we did something wrong and it wasn't a valid qualifier, so let me do this, which is obviously a syntax error. If I hit validate, boom, it will fail to validate and I won't be able to save it. Also, what I can do too is I can also test here as well. And as we can see, this should validate to false. So it's a valid qualifier, but the test result is false because this doesn't start with S. I'll go ahead and cancel this. And next, what we can do is we can go to the VDI session information. So these right here, you choose that same VDI session property that you want to use. So I could say like MAC address, and here are my operators. I could say equal, does not equal, starts with, does not start with, ends with, does not end with, contains, does not contain, whatever. And I can put my value, give it a name and description, add it, and then use those later in rules. Next, we have the virtual desktop, which is once again uses a sync point and deals with organizational units. So I add my organizational units here. I'm just adding the root of the domain, and then we can synchronize and it'll sync the virtual desktops. And last, we have the virtual desktop group. So I don't have any. I'll go ahead and create one. And once I add it, it'll open up the edit window, and then I can go to members and I can actually add different virtual desktops. And then update it. And then now if I do a search, we'll see I have a group. And if I view the members, we can actually see who the members of that group are. So all these rule qualifiers come in handy whenever you're dealing with rules to set up who's going to actually get the rule. So for more information on rules, though, please watch the video tutorial on rules. That way you can get a better understanding of how you actually use the qualifiers in the rules. I hope you found this video tutorial useful, and thank you.